anything misleading. It's all about, was it misleading? Because in consumer law, you must never mislead consumers. You must always be transparent. Not sure about this one because I've not seen anything, but go back and have a very careful and close look. That's it for me for another week. Thank you for all your calls, texts that's come in this evening. I'm sorry if I've not come back to you on text messages or I've not answered your call. There's been so many this evening, but I will be back next Friday, 9 p.m. with another LBC Consumer Hour. In the meantime, a quick reminder that the advice offered in this hour is for guidance only. You should always seek your own independent legal opinion. If you haven't done so already, make sure you download Global Player, where you can listen live to LBC, catch up with any shows that you've missed, and listen to a range of podcasts. Coming up at 1 is the brilliant Clive Ball. And remember, I'm on there talking to him this evening as well. But next here on LBC, with his normal, abnormal, brilliant show, you know who it is. It's my Uncle Nick Abbot.
Dean, this week the Prime Minister walked into a bank and held a cashier at gunpoint till they emptied the safe, and he walked out with sacks of cash amounting to millions of pounds. But the Parliamentary Standards Authority has declared that he profited from this action only inadvertently, so no further action will be taken. I exaggerate for comic effect, but not by much. The difference between you and members of the regime is that something untoward that you do will see you go straight to jail. If they do the same thing, it will be regarded as inadvertent, and they will pass go, and they will collect £200 million. It's a bit like Monopoly, but with more zeros. In other news, the government have inadvertently allowed hospitals to degrade to such an extent that some of them are actually saying that patients must be prepared to evacuate at a moment's notice. Nurses and doctors can stay where they are. That's the punishment for being lefty activist enemies of the people.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 10 o'clock, a man killed by what are believed to be two American XL bully dogs in Staffordshire yesterday has been named as Ian Price. Earlier, the Prime Minister announced plans to ban the breed by the end of the year. Sandra McKevitt's niece Ella was attacked by 5 of the dogs in Liverpool in 2016 and has been left scarred. And she's told LBC what happened.
There was 5 dogs and I'm told around about 10 to 16 puppies. And they just started one by one trying to get Ella. She'd started screaming and it was just so surreal. It was like a game of a tug of war.
Well, animal charities, including the RSPCA, say ministers should be targeting unscrupulous breeders instead. Lucy Letby is appealing all of her convictions after being found guilty of 7 counts of murder and 6 of attempted murder. The former neonatal nurse became the UK's most prolific child serial killer in living memory last month. She targeted babies at the Countess of Chester Hospital between 2015 and 2016. The O2 Academy, Brixton, has been told it can reopen after a crush which killed 2 people last year. The music venue in South London was closed after fans tried to force entry last December. It will need to meet 77 new safety concerns first. The chair of the Prison Officers Association has told LBC no prison staff were working in the kitchen on the day an inmate escaped in Wandsworth. 21-year-old Daniel Khalif has been charged with escaping from custody after being detained in Northolt in West London. It emerged earlier HMP Wandsworth was short of 80 prison officers on the date a prisoner went missing, but Mark Fairhurst says he disputes those figures.
According to the MOJ, they're telling the media that on the day in question there was 120 staff on duty, but 80 never turned up for work, which means there should have been over 200 on duty. But factually, I know that there were only 84 prison officers on duty on the morning of that escape. That is clearly not safe.
And Spain's former FA president Luis Rubiales has been banned from contacting the player he kissed at the World Cup final. The 46-year-old denies sexually assaulting Jerry Hermoso. In the city, the FTSE 100 has closed up 38 points at 77.11. The pound buys $1.23 and €1.16. LBC weather, rain becoming patchier and lighter across Northern Ireland and southern Scotland tonight. Elsewhere will be dry with clear spells and a low of 4 degrees. From Global's newsroom for LBC, I'm Daryl Jackson.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Hello there. Very nice to meet you.
This month, Phoenix, Arizona, a place known for its heat, got very, very hot indeed and recorded its 55th day above 110 degrees. And across America, 60 million people were under heat alerts. There were floods in Brazil, which submerged houses up to the roofline. Cars were swept out to sea in Greece because of flooding. In Spain, a boy was rescued after sitting in a tree to escape floodwaters during record rains. In Taiwan, trees were uprooted and mudslides were triggered in a typhoon, which also devastated parts of China. And a different typhoon hit Hong Kong, leaving a trail of destruction. Turkey and Bulgaria were hit by flash floods after extreme rainfall. The Libyan city of Derna was devastated by floods. And the Burning Man festival in a desert was shut down by the thing you don't normally get in deserts, rain. But it's all perfectly okay because people who wouldn't know their bottoms from a hole in the ozone layer tell us that unprecedented weather events are perfectly normal, and they know that because they have done their own research. Meanwhile, here, just like the economic divide between the North and the South, there's a weather divide. As the South gets the best weather, and the North, you get nothing.
Oh, fabulous.
In the Northeast, it will only be making it to 61 Fahrenheit tomorrow, but in the South, temperatures will hit 81 Fahrenheit. And I will translate His Majesty's Fahrenheit to European surrender centigrade, if I must. It's perfectly easy. An idiot could do it. You simply double it and add 32 to get from Fahrenheit to centigrade. And so double 81 is 182, and 182 plus 32 is, let's see, no, it's 182 plus, is 144. Blimey, it's going to be 144 degrees centigrade in the south of England tomorrow. Can you believe that?
No.
Soft southerners can expect beautiful conditions tomorrow as the summery weather continues, but the north and Scotland will see heavy rain. Well, I bet they will. The northwest, I bet, will see heavy rain. I can check on that while you wait. One moment, please. Aha! Wow. Well, it's raining at the moment in Glasgow, and it will be raining all night long, and raining tomorrow, and raining on Sunday, and raining on Monday, and raining on Tuesday, and raining on Wednesday, and raining on Thursday, and raining next Friday. It will then be raining on Saturday the 23rd, and the following Sunday, and the following Monday, and on Tuesday, and on Wednesday, and on Thursday, and every day for the rest of your lives. Oh, well. Never mind, eh? Why does it always rain on you? Temperatures tomorrow will be up to 81 Fahrenheit in the southeast, 59 Fahrenheit in Scotland land. It comes after, by the way, and here comes that word again, an unprecedented week of weather that brought the UK's hottest day of the year so far. That was last Saturday with a high of 92 Fahrenheit in London. Gosh, it was hot. Also, at the same time, the coldest night since April in Scotland. So temperatures tomorrow, 81 in the south, 59 in Scotland. Then on Sunday, heavy rain will sweep in from the west with thunder, lightning, very, very frightening.
Rock and roll!
The Met Office warned the Britons that in just a few hours we could be in for 60 millimetres of rain, which, as maths expert Liz Truss can tell you, is about 3'6".
Absolutely.
Of course, if you're caught up in the rain, it is imperative that you drive extra fast with your fog lights on because that makes you look cool. Of course, if you're in an Audi, you will already be doing this. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Met Office meteorologist Alex issued a warning for how the remnants of Hurricane Lee would hit. I don't know. I haven't got the rest of that sentence. But you want to be very, very frightened. Would you like to hear the long-range forecast for the next 4 weeks?
No.
OK, at first, humid and heavy and thundery, and then dry and fresher. That's the next couple of days. Then on Tuesday next week, the last of the warm European air should have cleared and we won't have to breathe any of that used second-hand French air again.
Disgusting.
Then strong winds and heavy rain. Proper British weather. Finally. Temperatures close to average for the rest of the month. And then the first 2 weeks of October. Yeah, October. Can you believe that? It's practically Jesus' birthday. October, almost. First couple of weeks of October, a chance of more settled conditions and late-season warm spells with above-average temperatures. A chance of more settled conditions and late-season warm spells with above-average temperatures? We'll take it. Ahmed texts, did you read Cruella Braverman's tweet? Oh, God, what's the Twisted Sister been tweeting now? I can only imagine that it's awful. You know, a regular human being probably wouldn't tweet what I'm about to read. I've got no idea what I'm about to read. I wouldn't think a regular human being, a reasonable person in the street would probably not tweet what Cruella has tweeted, as pointed out by Ahmed, who texts the following. Did you read Cruella Braverman's tweet about Keir Starmer, who will let Brussels use Britain as a dumping ground for millions of illegal immigrants the rest of Europe don't want? Wow. She is an awful person. Did she actually tweet that? Is that true? I'm looking at what I think is an empty room through the glass there. Oh, no, there you are. Hiding. Did she actually tweet that? Nod if correct. Shake your head if not. He's nodding. Ahmed says, using words like dumping, suggesting that these poor people are like rubbish and are not human equal to the rest of us. What a vile and disgusting woman she really is, says Ahmed, who, by my reckoning, is completely correct in every respect. And by the way, when you say disgusting, you have to put a Z where the S is, or where the first S is, anyway. Disgusting, because disgusting sounds more disgusting than disgusting. That's just a fact. Dumping ground. Wow. They really are outdoing themselves, aren't they? That sounds like a totally Tory thing to say.
My name's Dominic Raab, and I'm a Tory.
I totally believe you. Daryl texts, reducing the NHS waiting list was the Prime Minister's number one priority. Apart from all of his other number one priorities, and he would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for all those pesky meddling doctors. Yeah, that's right. Enemies of the people. Boo! Yeah, those lefty activist doctors who are usurping Fishy Sunak's best efforts to enact all of his number one priorities.
It's the country's number one priority.
Priority. He should have picked another word. Any other word would have done. What's get a thesaurus? We need another word for party. It don't matter what word he uses. He ain't going to believe him regardless of what word he uses. Why, blimey, look at all these callers. What do they want? Why can't they just leave me alone? Daryl says, reducing the... No, I've read that already. Wow, I am up to date. Tom says, it's taken 13 years, but the Tory government have finally done something good by banning XL bully dogs. I never thought I'd give credit to Sunak and Braverman, but here we are. They haven't done it yet. They said by the end of the year. Why the wait? What's the delay? Would anybody like to take a small bet that no such ban will actually take place? Anything that they say is going to happen in the future, you can just write it off straight away. Oh, yeah, don't worry. Trust us. We'll get round to that later. You trust us, don't you?
No.
No, based on everything that you have said and done over the past 13 years. Of course we don't trust you. We're gullible. We're not insane. Lucy says, I noticed Rees Smug, in his latest demonstration of Christian virtue, is warning us not to vote Labour if we want to avoid greater numbers of asylum seekers. I'm just wondering if he's more scared of those vulnerable individuals or all the criminals the Tories failed to keep behind bars. He's not telling us that he's guided by his faith again, is he?
You're better informed than I am. I don't know anything.
What faith is that? What would Jesus do, Smug? The absolute opposite to anything that he would do in any given circumstance. Oh, yes, one's guided by one's faith. Right. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC. This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
hang about, Nick. Listen, now, what I'm trying to say to you is this, Nick, right?
Tim texts, I will vote for Keir Starmer if he promises to send Gavin Williamson to Rwanda. Yeah, okay. Well, let's make a deal. Joe texts, not Joe texts. Joe texts. You know, Rishi, our imperious leader, wants to ban angry dogs. Do you really think they'll use a picture of Lee, ex-XL bully Anderson, to figure out the really bad ones? Yeah, they'll just compare and contrast. Does it look like this guy? Then it needs a strong response. We need to send out a strong message. And on that subject, here is a person in Maidstone called Nicola. Nicola.
Hi, Nick.
Nicola.
Hello. Hi. The country is obviously completely crackers, as we know from listening to you and sharing your anxieties with us. But I just really wanted to share this stuff around the XL bully, absolute malarkey that's been going on.
Malarkey?
Because it just proves to us, malarkey, I love that word, don't you?
I do.
But, this country is even more crackers than in the usual, if that's possible. So our wonderful, inspirational leader, without a hint of irony in my voice, put on Twitter today that he was ordering an urgent review. An urgent review. The fact that actually that would be after one death, not sort of 7 in 9 months.
Yeah.
Hey, ho. And I just wanted to share some of the hilarious replies, but just one I'll share with you. And I know everyone can read it to themselves, but it's almost like if I read it out loud, actually I won't feel like I'm going completely crackers.
Yes.
So somebody said, it's dog racism, plain and simple. You see the shape of the dog and jump to conclusions, irrespectively. I know. That's how I felt. Irrespective of the individual dog's behaviour.
Yeah.
Dog racism.
Dog racism, that's right.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right. Thanks for pointing that out, Nicola. Cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, he's going to think about it and they might do something about it later. But we'll let a few more people die in the meantime because, it's probably not going to be anybody that he, Rishi Sunak, knows personally. What are they waiting for? For crying out loud, how are those things legal? You can't drag a bomb around on a string. Why are you allowed to drag those dogs around on a string? I mean, they've got the brain the size of a peanut, just a tiny incident of any kind. Nobody knows when they're going to go off. A little switch flicks in their tiny doggy mind and they bite your face off. I mean, literally. Why is anybody allowed to have those things? And people are saying, oh, no, it's not their dogs. They're lovely with kids. Yeah, they find them delicious. Why is anybody allowed to have those things? I mean, and they say, oh, it's not the bad dogs, it's the bad owners. Yeah, moron owners for picking a dog like that in the first place. And people pick them because they're a weapon. And don't pretend otherwise. Nobody picks a dog like that because it looks cute. They're hideous-looking things. Nobody should be allowed to have one of those things. Nobody should be allowed to have an animal that a reasonable, normal person in the street would lose a fight with. I mean, you're not allowed to have a lion as a pet. Why are you allowed to have one of those things? It's just another weapon in the drug dealer's armoury or just the moron's armoury. Here's a handy guide to check whether you are a moron. Do you have an XL bully dog? If the answer is yes, then the answer is yes. 0345 6060 973. Have I said anything controversial yet? Chester, hello, Jake.
Oh, Nick, you okay?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Yeah, I see that the XL bullies are going to be banned. But wasn't that done a few months ago with Dominic Raab, I believe, right?
Dominic Raab, XL bully.
My name's Dominic Raab, and I'm a Tory.
Totally believe you.
Yeah, exactly. No, you just said that it's obviously not the dogs, it's the owners.
No, it is the dogs, and it's the owners.
Same mindset, maybe. Possibly.
Well, like attracts.
Yeah, like attracts like. But what I really wanted to talk about was You mentioned at the beginning of the show that the Tories seem to get away with so much.
It's absolutely incredible. I mean, every story that I read during the week is just another minister who appears to be able to act outside the law with no consequences. It's like we've become some sort of third world banana republic.
Exactly, but the thing is, Keir suggests something that may work. I'm defining the word may, and he gets jumped on by is it right wing? That's the right one. Yeah, it's the right wing. Yeah, the right wing press straight away.
What do you mean it may work? What are you talking about?
The immigration thing.
That right?
Yeah, I know you've not brought it up, but
not really. No.
I was just thinking how it's completely one-sided. You kind of get fed up of it. I've stopped reading newspapers and stuff. To be honest, you're the only one I listen to.
Yeah, well,
really.
Just wait, Jake. From right now until the right through the build-up and until the next general election, the newspapers, the right-wing, offshore, billionaire-owned press in this country are going to go full-on berserk because they can see the possibility of them actually losing some power in this country.
Well, boo-hoo. Labour deserves to win, I believe.
Well, based on the polling, it's what the people want.
But if you read not every paper, but most papers, it's not what the people want. And what I really find offensive, what they do, is I don't know how people are fooled by it. I'll be honest with you. I've got learning difficulties myself, but I understand, and it's just. I sometimes feel like I'm living in a parallel universe whereby I'm reading something and someone else is reading something completely different, and I'll say something to someone. I've literally had a conversation with someone and said, look at this newspaper.
What an outrage, you'll say, and they'll say, quite right too. Yeah.
No.
Yes.
They'll agree with me up until the point that I say something that they don't agree with. And then they'll be like, well, you're completely wrong in everything you said.
Right.
But I hope...
You'll be getting a one-way ticket to Rwanda if you're not careful, Jake.
Oh, my God, please. I would love that.
I've heard lovely things about it, but mostly from the people who are trying to use it as a punishment.
But the thing is, with Suella Braverman, I will say this. I'm an accepting person. I was brought up to accept everyone, with their flaws and stuff like that.
Yeah, but you'll only go so far, I understand.
Exactly, but for her to jump on Keir like that after did she not arrive in I can't remember the word, it's in an Apache helicopter at one point?
Yeah, she did take an attack helicopter to go and inspect the wave of immigrants who were washing up on our shores.
Yeah, I know you don't.
I mean, what's surprising is that she didn't play about a mile out. She turned on the music. We'll come in low out of the rising sun.
Shouldn't she be playing Teresa Coffin's I've Had the Time of My Life? Wouldn't that be done by her?
Well, yeah, maybe. All right, listen, got to go, Jake, but thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Simon says, Nick, you are in the media. Can you please explain to me what is the point of weather forecasters? I was told this week it would be rain, yet it's been absolutely gorgeous and I actually got a suntan. Would it be better just to look out the window than listen to these guys, says Simon. Well, if you want to know what the weather's like right now, there is no better thing to do than look out the window. But if you want to know what the weather's going to be like in a couple of weeks, then you can either just guess or ask people who have some clue as to what is most likely to happen. It's not definite. It's a very, very difficult thing to predict the weather. They have a computer the size of a football pitch. I think that's actually true.
Affirmative.
And so they can still get it wrong. But it's not as wrong as you just guessing. Simon says, Nick, of course the thick right-wingers are focusing on the Starmer deal, accepting our quota of immigrants. They handily forgot that the same rules apply to their dreamy Rwanda plan. Oh, yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, that's not very not mentioned very much, that we send people to Rwanda, and Rwanda have the ability to send people back to us.
What?
Yeah. They don't mention that much, do they? And anyway, I seriously doubt that Keir Starmer is going to be able to negotiate some deal with the European Union by which they limit the number of people who are coming in, and we can send some back. Why would they? They already, like France already takes twice as many people as we do. Why should they take all of theirs and ours as well, just because they happen to be, map-wise between us and them? Map-wise. I hope you're writing this stuff down, kids. 0345 6060 973. That's worth at least an extra point on your geography exam. Map-wise. Remember that phrase. Glasgow. Hello, Frankie.
How are we doing, Nick? All right?
All right, thanks.
Well, I'd just like to pick Simon up on something. He's giving it loudly about the sun splitting the trees. Well, I am standing at my front door in Glasgow, Nick, and guess what?
What? Where did you go?
It's raining down.
It's raining in Glasgow. I can believe it.
Well, there you go, mate. I've just ruined your Friday night Glasgow forecast.
No, you haven't. I've already done the Glasgow forecast, and it's going to be raining every single day for the next 2 weeks, at least.
Oh, you're joking. I thought it was just a night.
No. No. No.
What about the Ladybird version of the book for the Liz spot?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, remember Ladybird, all the Ladybird books when you were a kid, and how the tortoise crossed the road and all that nonsense. Oh, how the lefty lettuce outlasted laughable Liz.
Right.
Not bad, isn't it?
Okay. It sounds very much like a listener with material to me.
Oh, no.
I wish you the best of luck, Frankie. You will not be drying out, at least for a couple of weeks. I hope you enjoy being damp. Lauren says, Cruella thinks that her tweets and comments will make her leader of the Tory party after Sunak loses the election and she'll become PM after 5 years of Labour. I think she's deluded. Well, let's cross to Cruella Braverman's mind and listen in. Yeah, I think she's deluded too. Val says, which do you think has caused more deaths, bully dogs or the Conservatives' underfunding of the NHS? Well, I know what I think. I've made my decision already.
I am totally 100% on it.
He's 100% on ruining the NHS, and he seems to be doing an excellent job. If that is actually the intention, then the plan is working perfectly. But on that subject, if you want me to get into that straight away, I mean, I could talk about other things, I could talk about happier things, but all right then, if you insist. Rishi Sunak tweeted this week, we have already invested record sums. Our plan is to invest record sums to boost capacity, including 5,000 more beds. 5,000! Wow! You know how many that is? Per hospital? Guess. Guess how many beds 5,000 beds is per hospital?
I'm saying 9?
No.
4?
Worse than that. 4 is the right answer. 4. 4 extra beds per hospital. Can you believe that? And he's actually boasting about that. Because 5,000 sounds like a large number. Sadly, the number of beds available since the Tories took over has dropped by 13,000. So once again, the Tories defund something, cut it to the bone, and then want to be congratulated for undoing a tiny part of the damage they've wrought. Well, here you go.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Please, stop trying to help us. We can't afford it. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC. It's 10:30. The news headlines with Darryl Jackson.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet @LBC. Text 84850.
Now, wait a minute. I don't like that kind of talk. Now, just stop it. It upsets me.
Sam says Apple have agreed to the demands of the EU to provide a universal power connector for all their future products. I recall the Egypt smug saying that it was a Brexit bonus, that in GB we would not have to comply with this EU rule. He is off the scale in stupidity, says Sam. I suppose he's never had to power up his phone as a servant hands it to him fully charged at all times. No, I bet he doesn't use a mobile phone because it's part of his act not to or to pretend not to understand modern technology. And as part of that act, I bet he calls anything that creates a sound the gramophone. Ain't that right, Smug?
I don't know anything.
Yeah, no, I totally believe you. Yeah, that's right. Apple have agreed to the demands of the European Union because the EU is a massive market. But, of course, Apple will be able to sell their phones with any charger they like in this country. No, of course they won't, because we're a tiny market. So we will just get whatever the EU has as a standard without having any say in what those standards are. It's called freedom. How's Brexit going, by the way?
Fabulous.
Anybody still believe it? Or believe in it? Lichfield. Hello, Rich.
Hey,
Nick. Rich.
Nick, apologies if it's a bit off topic. But,
topic? What topic?
I've heard that the Tories are trying to say that Labour, the new reshuffle, that the new Labour kind of ministerial positions are not across their briefs. So they've been kind of appointed without knowing what they're doing.
Yeah, that's the way it looks to me.
Well, you've got Grant Shapps, 5 positions in a year.
Yeah.
Therese Coffey, health and environment.
I mean, that's just them trolling us, isn't it? Therese Coffin, health, oh, come on.
And, Nadine Dorris, culture, media, sport.
Yes, enough said, exactly.
So, what are they doing? Chris Clarkson on Twitter saying, look at what's happening, look at this reshuffle, what on earth are they thinking? I just wonder what your thoughts are on that.
I think that it's a constant effort to distract us from what's actually going on. They wake up in the morning and they think, what can we do to them today to distract them from our many indiscretions and inadvertent profiting from our positions? And so they'll say, well, I don't know, let's just get some numpty who is uniquely unqualified for the post to do, whatever it might be, whatever the post of the day happens to be. And then people will hyperventilate and froth about that for a while, completely forgetting the part about, there's 3 million kids in deep poverty in this country whose parents can't afford to feed them.
But Nick, I think the difference is, they say they're not across their briefs, the ministerial briefs, but those guys are actually trying to run the country.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure they actually are. I don't think that there doesn't appear to me to be any effort to run the country. They're just sort of managing headlines from one day to the next. If they can just get through a 24-hour period and not get roasted alive on the front page of the Daily Mail, then they'll think that's a success.
Well, it appears, but I just kind of wonder what they're on when they're kind of saying these things, when they're...
Yeah, they're on about 87 grand a year plus $250,000 in expenses. That's what they're on. Yeah, keep that in mind.
That's all I've got, Nick.
Okay,
anyway,
well, it sounded like enough. Thanks a lot, Rich. Excellent work. Alex texts, I saw Crazy Kwarteng walking down the street the other day, and I was so surprised to see him showing his face in public. I didn't do or say anything to him. I'm very disappointed in myself. Yeah, it happened too suddenly. He forgot his entire vocabulary. He just was stunned. His jaw flapping in the wind like a flag. He said, I'm very disappointed with myself. From now on, I'll always carry rotten vegetables in my bag so I can throw them at him whilst screaming, you caused my mortgage to double, you pillock. Should we ever cross paths again?
Absolutely.
Yeah, don't do that. I mean, you can speak to him and discuss it with him at length if you like, but don't throw stuff. Because the regime are all over that. Don't worry about a thing. Harry texts, are we going to ban the Conservative Party for the excess deaths caused by austerity, Brexit and the mishandling of the pandemic? Once that becomes a popular thought, the right-wing papers will start blithering on about Meghan Markle. Will start blithering on about Meghan Markle. Are you kidding? I bet if I looked up the Mail Online right now, hang on a minute. I bet if I did that right now, I bet that at least 2 of the top 10 stories would be about Meghan Markle. Hang on a minute. No. What? Oh, no. The number 1 story is Meghan Markle. Check it if you like. Harry and Meghan get a rock star welcome as they appear at Invictus Games volleyball final and joined for celebratory beer by Veterans Minister.
Booze.
Well, he marched there toot sweet, didn't he? After those stories about how the royal family were not showing up for the Veterans Games, the Invictus Games, but they were all but they were all over the Highland Games thing. There's the king with his knock knees pressed together so you don't see up his skirt.
Disgusting.
I know it's not a skirt. You don't have to text me about that. And I was right. The first story is about Meghan, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the fifth story is also about Meghan. So I think that they have started blithering on about Meghan Markle while you were asleep, Harry. What are you talking about? And how far down do I have to go before there's another blooming story about Meghan Markle and how she is the evil, wicked witch of the West? No! Yeah, let's concentrate on her, to the exclusion of almost everything else. God, I just don't understand this country anymore. Like, I don't recognise it anymore. The stuff that's happening on a daily basis, it just seems to be beyond imagining. I mean, if you had told me 13 years ago that this is where we would be right now, after everything that has happened in the intervening period, I wouldn't have believed you. It would have seemed ridiculous that it would have happened in this country. We wrote off how much in fraud?
What?
Abby texts, Nick, as far as I'm concerned, you are either a drug dealer or a man inadequate in other departments if you own a dangerous killer dog. Since we cannot legislate against ignorant, irresponsible and inadequate owners, then such dogs should be banned. If we want to save one life, it'll be worth it, says Abby. Yeah, what's the delay? I mean, does he actually have the nerve to say that he's going to launch an inquiry? Because if that's what's happening, then you can forget about it. It ain't going to happen. There is going to be no such ban. Oh, it's very difficult because, technically we can't decide whether a dog that looks a bit like one of these devil dogs is actually the real thing or not. We'll have to, investigate its genes. Just look at the blooming thing. If it looks like a wild animal and could kill you, ban it. As in, permanently. And then we can think about banning the owner. Permanently. Or, decide on some punishment at the very least. I thought that I would get many more calls about that, just at the very idea. And people calling in saying, oh, they're so lovely. Morons. We're surrounded by morons. You see one of those dogs, and you just kind of freeze, because you think, well, don't walk past it, because that might set it off, and don't stop, because that might set it off, and certainly don't look at it, because that might set it off. And why are people allowed to have these things? You're not allowed to carry a machine gun through town. Why are you allowed to have one of those things? It is like dragging a bomb around on a piece of string. You'd never know when it might go off. Jared says, are you feeling better now? If you did have it, I hope you took your anti-parasitic horse meds to shift it. Or did you go with UV like Trumpty Dumpty suggested? Yeah. No, I decided against the horse medicine, and as for UV light, I do believe that you get that from the sun. And anything that Donald Trump takes, I don't think I'll be taking any of that.
Oh, shut up!
Thanks, but no thanks. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Everything is going extremely well.
Everything is going extremely badly. Apparently there is a fault. There is a fault on the line.
Warning, warning.
We ain't got no lines. I've been looking at the switchboard for about the last half an hour thinking, blimey, I've talked about the weather, dogs, the NHS, Fishy Sunak, crime, morons. And I've got a single solitary blooming call. And that is the reason for that is because, not that this show is not popular. Goodness me, no. Why would anybody think that? It's because the phones don't work. Now, did the phones work when Dean Dunham was doing his super show?
Yeah,
they did. Okay, so as soon as I come on here, everything breaks down. Not that I'm complaining about that or anything.
Stop whining.
So at least I don't have, a long time to go, just me speaking, what with my sore throat turned out. Not that I'm drawing attention to my illness.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
It's only 2 hours and, all told, it'd be about 2.5 hours of just me yakking away. The phones are down. But apparently we're going to get a man in because, unfortunately, we couldn't find a woman, so we're going to get a man instead. Gareth texts. So the texts are working, by the way.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah, big deal. Gareth texts, how to stop the boats. We are 25 miles off the coast of France. That's not far enough. We need to move out of their range. 35 miles should do it. So if we dig up 10 miles of our coastline, hey presto, no more boats. I can do better than that. If we dig up 40 miles off our coast in the southern part of the country, then anybody that washes up on the shore will be washing up in London. That will teach the metropolitan elite. Franco says, Nick, while watching football this evening, PSG versus Nice, the advertising hoarding around the pitch were advertising, visit Rwanda. Can you believe that? Well, that's on Arsenal's team's shirt, isn't it? Visit Rwanda. Which is so bizarre. I mean, talk about causing dissonance in the brain. If you listened closely to my head, that is the sound that you would hear. Because on the one hand, the government are using Rwanda as a punishment, and on the other hand, the Rwanda are advertising themselves as a holiday destination. Yeah, does that make sense?
No.
Not really. Am I really going to have to do this entire show, just me? I mean, I do prepare for this event, this eventuality, but I almost never have to actually go through and do an entire talk show, just me talking, especially in my condition. Okay, message coming in from next door. We will get it fixed ASAP. Right, well, don't ask the government to fix it because they'll launch an inquiry. Franco texts, no, read that one already. Blimey, I am way ahead of schedule. I can't believe it. Dean Dunham, the phones that were... In fact, it was probably him personally that actually visited this catastrophe on this show. Thanks a lot, Dean Dunham. See what you've done? Either that or it was Jeremy Corbyn's fault. No! Sebastian texts, Dear Mr. Nick, I am a think tank. Can I come on your show and make stuff up? Absolutely, Sebastian. Yes, you can. I can't wait to drop a think bomb on you, he says. Well, that just sounds like a good idea. Kyle texts, between 2001 and 2021, 69 individual deaths were registered as being caused by a dog bite or strike. Since 2010, more than 5,000 homeless people have died on the streets. So why isn't that a priority, Mr. Sunak? Well, the reason for that is that homeless people don't vote Conservative. Or is that too awful a thing to say? I'm just lashing out wildly now. That whole phone situation has really got my hair rubbed up the wrong way. How many texts and tweets have I got? Oh, God, I'm almost out of texts and tweets as well. It's because I'm getting through them so quick. Too quickly for them to be replaced by new ones. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. If you've got a phone and you are expecting to call me right now, then it's a big no.
No, 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 no.
No, you can't do it right now because, we're in special measures. I'm being punished for not believing in the regime. I wouldn't be remotely surprised, actually. And it's occurred to me lately that James O'Brien should watch his back because they've already gone after, and by they I mean the government themselves, via their client media, have already gone after the woman who did the numbers on Countdown. I forgot what her name is. That's terrible. Carol Vorderman. Yeah, they've done a number on Carol Vorderman because she actually speaks her mind and tells and says something that you're not allowed to say in this country anymore. The truth. The truth. So they've gone after her a little bit, but they haven't given her the full monster. But they will, because they will take any action they can to avoid losing the next general election. I mean, if you think you've seen something disappointing and dispiriting so far, just wait. You ain't seen nothing yet. They haven't even got started yet. So they are going to take out every single person that disagrees or disapproves of the regime, and they're going to try to neuter them. Maybe not literally, but they're going to try to take their megaphone away, and they tried to do it with Carol Vorderman, who's doing excellent work. And it did occur to me that I'm kind of surprised that they haven't got around to James O'Brien yet. Be careful, James O'Brien. Don't say anything out loud. I would just hum throughout your show from now on. And the thought occurred to me that I hope that, and I'm in expectation that I am too insignificant for them to trouble themselves with. That is my hope. Mary texts, I heard a chap on the radio earlier saying that bullies would be destroyed. Imagine my disappointment that he was only talking about dogs and not the government.
My name's Dominic Raab, and I'm a Tory.
Totally believe you.
I don't support the Human Rights Act, and I don't believe in economic and social rights. My name's Dominic Raab, and I'm a Tory.
I believed you the first time. Bullies will be destroyed. They should be. I am... Well, see, this is probably the reason why I haven't got a switchboard full of people who are yelling at me that, those bully dogs, those XL bullies, are really lovely. Oh, they're so cuddly and sweet. I've read it in the paper. Just this afternoon I was reading that. Some moron was banging on about how lovely and caring their dog is, posing next to something that looked like it's come straight from hell. It looks like the kind of thing that that Harry Potter would have a fight with and win by sheer dumb luck. And didn't the RSPCA, the Royal Society for the Prevention of Animals, didn't they say something like, oh, leave them alone? Something stupid like that. Come on, people. Why should anybody be allowed to have something that is as vicious and as able to kill as that? I mean, in America, you can walk into your local supermarket with a machine gun in many states. But you're not allowed to do that here. So why are you allowed to carry around on a string something that could rip your arm off if you tried to hold it back? I mean, these people that think that they got control of these dogs, they're absolutely deluded. If the dog wanted to leave you in the dust, to leave you and drag you behind it, it would. They think they have control over those things. Like they're living in a film or some sort of video game. They can just point their dog at some imagined or real threat, and the dog would take care of that threat, as though the dog understands. It's most likely to take your personal leg off, you, the owner of the dog. Just because you feed it every now and again doesn't mean to say it loves you. Mike says XL bullies should be confiscated and given to Tesco's and Sainsbury's security and trained to sniff out sausages, steaks and shoplifters. Trained to sniff out sausages, steaks and shoplifters solves two problems in one, and the dogs can prowl inside the stores at night. Yeah, that's a big no from me. Dogs prowling inside a supermarket where they sell food?
Disgusting.
No. And furthermore, no. No. Lawrence says, it's a fiefdom, not a country. The government live for nothing on expenses and just want a workforce to keep them in the life that they are used to. The perfect citizen would work until they're 75, paying taxes, retire on a Friday, then drop dead on Monday and give the government all their money in inheritance tax. Yeah, well, we're pretty much there. I mean, life expectancy, I think uniquely in the Western world, life expectancy has gone down over the last 13 years under this Conservative administration, rather than going up. And when was the last time that happened? Never. Never happened before. Kathleen says, I know a person, not a breeder, who has 3 adult bullies and 12 pups. I've seen photos of adult dogs destroying the garden and the owner laughing. Now that's a responsible owner, not. Yeah, people like that should be put in prison. I mean, that's not a controversial thing to say, is it? I'll say it again. If you are in any doubt about whether you are a moron or not, just check to see whether you are the owner of one of them XL bully dogs. And if the answer is yes, the answer is yes.
Yes.
03... No, there's no point in me giving out the number because the blooming phones don't work. Am I seriously going to have to do 3 hours just me talking? 0345... That's just out of habit, that is. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. Tweet at LBC. What's the other one? See, if I don't do it all in order, then I forget. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC. And there's another one. I can't remember what it is. Call, text, tweet. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. Funny how you always remember right at the end.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Shut up.
What we got here is a failure to communicate.
Yes, what we got here is a failure to communicate on the phone line, which is unfortunate because this is a phone-in show. But apart from that, everything is going extremely well. Thanks for asking. Any updates?
Not as of yet.
Not as of yet. So I'll give you the phone number, and then you can write it down on a piece of paper and then throw it away. 0345 6060 973. That's the phone number that you can't call on because it's broken. But we are desperately trying to fix it. We put a chit in with the engineering department, and they'll get to it straight away on Monday morning. They're going to make it their top priority.
Under my leadership, the government's priorities are your priorities.
Yeah.
The people's priorities.
Right, that sounds
it's the country's
correct.
number 1 priority.
What is?
It's my number 1 priority,
yes.
Up and down the country, and that will be our focus.
He's gripping it. He's the Prime Minister of this country, can you believe that?
No.
He's promised all sorts of things about the NHS, of course, absolutely none of which are believable. He tweeted this, and I don't know, I mean, I use Twitter a little bit, not very much. I usually use Twitter to ruin my breakfast. I trawl through it for the latest outrage and then retweet some bits and add very, very few comments of my own. I'm a very bad Twitter user. I don't even call it what it's supposed to be called, X. Now, if the site's called X, what are the communications on that site called? Because it used to be Twitter and they used to be tweets. What are we supposed to call them now? X's? Has anybody actually asked that question out loud? Or is it just me? Because if the site's called X, then there's no logic in calling them tweets anymore. Is there? So what are they called? Has that actually been answered, that question?
They're called X's, unbelievably.
Are they?
Yes.
What, that moon-faced creep who runs X wants us to call them X's? Yeah, okay. Well, he can hold his breath until he goes blue in the face for that. It's a no from me. So Rishi Sunak tweeted, and I think that's a bit, I don't know, for a politician, for somebody of his, I was going to say stature. For somebody in his position to be tweeting, even if he doesnn't tweet himself, even if it's one of his underlings who's tweeting on his behalf, I mean, that's a bit, I don't know, pathetic, isn't it? Isn't that a bit childish? Is that what we've actually come to now? It used to be politicians were serious people who said serious things in a serious mean. I mean, we used to have politicians like Gordon Blooming Brown, for instance. And when he said things, it sounded like a serious person. Now we've got Fishy Sunak squeaking out a tweet. Absolutely none of which you can believe a blooming word on. He said, we've already invested record sums to boost capacity. He's talking about the NHS. We've already invested record sums to boost capacity. Record sums to boost capacity. Including 5,000 more beds, 15 million GP appointments, 800 new ambulances and 7.5 billion for social care. Delivered the first long-term workforce plan and we're seeing results, he says. And this is above, and when we're seeing results has an arrow pointing down to a picture of him and a nurse grinning for a selfie. Yeah, that's the result. He managed to find a medical professional that could stand to be next to him for a picture. 5,000 more beds. Works out around 4 per hospital. He thinks that we're morons, that he can just come out with this stuff and make it sound great when in fact it is pathetically small. 5,000 more beds for the NHS is 4 beds per hospital. And, by the way, those 5,000 beds, do they come with 5,000 more staff? Because there's no point in having a bed if you ain't got no staff. The overall beds available has dropped by almost 13,000 over the last 10 years. So he's just promised 5,000 more beds. The number of beds has dropped over 10 years by 13,000. So, maths fans, that's 8,000 fewer beds. But he wants congratulation for 5,000 more beds. I mean, once again, the Tories defund something. I mean, this seems to be the plan with absolutely everything they do. They defund something, cut it to the bone, and then want to be congratulated for doing undoing a tiny part of the damage that they have wrought.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it, Fishy. And as for 800 new ambulances, well, let's look into that and see whether it's true.
Liar!
No, it's not true. It's not extra ambulances, which is what it sounds like. Oh, we're going to have 800 new ambulances. Wow, that's great. If it would be true. But it isn't. Because it's not extra ambulances. It's just mostly replacing ones that are so old they're not fit for purpose. And, by the way, which hospital trusts were refused permission to buy because of Tory rules about spending, which have prevented some trusts from buying any ambulances for the past 4 years, no matter how old and clapped out they were. I mean, some have run on steam. You believe that? So it's not 800 new ambulances. I mean, you can take promises about funding the NHS with a sack of salt, just like Bodger's promise of 40 new hospitals. That wasn't true either, was it, Bodge?
I can't comment on that.
There's the health editor of the Sunday Times tweeted, there's a person called Sean Linton, on Monday night at Derriford Hospital in Plymouth, there were 21 ambulances waiting. 21. Now, to be in an ambulance is pretty much the definition of it being an emergency, right? I mean, you don't use an ambulance as a cab just to get to hospital because you've stubbed your toe or you can't find your TV remote. Oh, doctor, please help me. You know, like one of them people. They're not in an ambulance. Those people should have their ears flicked. 21 ambulances are waiting. I mean, what kind of a third world country is this now? Just remember... Oh, message coming in from next door. Just going to run out and try and get you updates. You're going to run out?
Going to go and see if I can find you more news.
You mean you're leaving me?
I'll be back in a minute.
Right. Oh, so that's great. Not only have I got no phones, but the only person that I've got other than me working on this show has now abandoned me. He's leapt over the side and is in a dinghy of his own making. Where was I? Oh, yeah, the 40 new hospitals. 40 new hospitals.
Liar!
Yeah. So Sean Linton, the health editor of the Sunday Times, tweeted on the 13th of this month. He said, on Monday night at Derriford Hospital, Plymouth, there were 21 ambulances waiting. 21 ambulances waiting. One patient waited at least, get this, 45 hours for a medical bed.
What?
45 hours to be put in a medical bed. Another mental health patient waited 95 hours. There's a 6-hour wait to see a doctor and a 3-hour wait to be triaged. And it's only September, says Sean Linton, health editor of the Sunday Times. Only September. This is supposed to be their quiet period. Ain't even got cold yet. Hasn't even got cold yet, and they can't, and they still can't cope. What is happening to this country? I think that on a regular basis. I actually tweeted that out today. What the hell is happening to this country? And every week, it's just the same. You read this stuff and you think, how are these people getting away with it? Telling us that they're doing a fantastic job and they want congratulation for it. I mean, Gillian Keegan, why doesn't anybody blooming congratulate me? It's just amazing. Keep in mind, as you sit on a blue plastic chair in accident and emergency so long that your bottom actually fuses to the plastic, keep in mind that the Conservatives took over in 2010. When they took over the country, they also took over the NHS, which at the time was the world's best health service. Now look at it. And it's only taken them 13 years. Imagine what they could do with another 5 years. This entire country will be flipped upside down, be on fire and sinking. Okay, so he's just run out and he's just run back in again. He's burst out and he's burst back in again. No news. Well, who's on it?
No news as of yet. Who's Whistler's going to keep you abreast. Right. Engineering are working on it.
Oh, they're working on it. So what does that actually mean? What are they doing? Give us an idea of how many people are actually working on this intense problem right now.
I'm going to say 4.
1. He's thinking.
And 1.
Yes.
2.
That's better.
6 million.
6 million people are working on this problem right now. And so there's going to be a result anytime soon. So what is it that they're actually doing? Did somebody come in with like? Are they,
has now begun to look at the issue.
There we go.
Who's what now?
The engineer is looking into the issue to try and diagnose the problem.
But he just said they're looking at it now. They're now looking at the issue. That's what he said, right?
Apparently so.
Okay, so when did the issue begin?
About
45 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. There are no problems here. Problems that you might have heard about here are just part of your imagination. Keep thinking like that and your imagination is going to be arrested. Jim texts, help me out please. Boris borrowed £800,000 a few months ago. Where did he find the £3 million cash to buy his new country seat? Well, that's a good question. Do we actually know who bought that house? I mean, I know he's living in it, but who bought it? Boris Johnson borrowed £800,000 a few months ago. Where did he find the £3 million in cash to buy his new country seat? That's an excellent question. Any thoughts, Bodge?
I can't comment on that.
You can't comment on that. Well, we really certainly do miss him, no?
No.
Simon says, don't think I'll bother getting a Bully XL. I'm just going to leave a loaded gun with the safety off lying around the flat. Or maybe I'll get a pet shark to keep in the bath. Yes, it's absolutely insane. And somebody on the news, I was busy freaking out in here, so I didn't clock exactly who it was who was saying this on the news. But apparently RSPCA, the Royal Society for the Prevention of Animals, said, leave them alone, or words to that effect, about these XL bully dogs. Said it's not the dogs, it's the breeders. No, it's the breeders, but it's also the blooming dogs, you idiot. And some bloke said, and I don't know who it was, he may have been from the RSPCA for all I know, he said that this is something of the order of, this is a knee-jerk decision from the government and not a considered decision based on scientific opinion. Well, OK, let one of them XL bully dogs in a room with a scientist and we'll see what they say. I imagine they'll form a strong opinion almost straight away. Wayne says, if you want to stop the boats, swap Union Jacks for French flags up and down the coast. It will confuse them. Well, that's just a good idea. And we could start smoking a lot and shrugging our shoulders and going, they'll think they've made a big mistake huge. They'll turn around and go away. Problem solved. 0345 60... Why am I doing that? You can't call. Phones are down. But it's like learned behaviour. If I don't start at the beginning, it's like the alphabet. I can't start at M and then carry on. I have to start at A. And the similar thing with giving out the ways to contact. So I'm going to say the number, and I want you to write it down and then just scribble it out. 0345 6060 973. Text 84... Now, if people... Because the phones are down, if people are calling in vast numbers, the moment they switch back on again, there's going to be this log jam of calls all trying to get through at the same time, and it's going to break the system again, isn't it? Why is this happening to me?
This is LBC with Nick Abbot. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Do not panic! Do not panic! We are trained professionals!
Yes, this show is being run by trained professionals. I know that's hard to believe, but trust me when I tell you. I keep wanting to say the number out loud. It's just learned behaviour, but there's absolutely no point because the phones don't work. Fortunately, it happened very, very early on in the show, and so I've got an enormous amount of time to fill. Jim texts, help me out. No, read that one. Simon says, no, read that one. Wayne says, if you want to... No, read that one. Oh, my God. John says... If I've read this one already, then that's it. I'm leaving. John says, please don't believe any statistics the government tell you. 87%... A listener with material. I won't bother you with the rest of that. You probably know where that's going. Tanya texts, no, everything is broken in Brexit Britain, including your phone. That's right, Tanya. And it's all Jeremy Corbyn's fault. Colette texts, does this mean no Ranjit, no Jan, or any update on the big hole in Wales? Yes, it does. Yes, 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 and yes, in that order. Ed says, for your own sake, do not mention you are feeling sick. Otherwise, the DWP Minister, Nellie Stride, will have you working on LBC for minimum wage until you drop. Yeah, you know that high-wage, high-skill economy that they've been talking about? Yeah, that's completely lies. That's total lies. What they mean is they want you working some drudge job that's going nowhere on minimum wage with no benefits. And they want you to die an early, horrible death. And if that is the plan, then it seems to be going extremely well. Very, very well indeed. Kath texts, Nick, is map-wise the opposite of as the crow flies? My friend moved from Flint to Neston, and she said, it's only a mile as the crow flies. She meant directly across the River Dee. I replied, but I'm not a crow. Map-wise, i.e. the actual roads, it would take me 45 minutes to drive to Neston, so I think you've come up with a great term, and I have a geography degree, says Kath. Well, she sounds like an expert. A geography degree? Joe says, did you catch the exclusive story on the Telegraph tonight? It suggests that Rupert Murdoch personally stepped in to stop Rishi Sunak from fully resigning over Partygate. Seems quite fishy to me. What are your thoughts? Personally stepped in to stop Rishi Sunak from fully resigning over Partygate? But I've got no idea. I haven't a clue. But I think that the media, the small handful of offshore oligarch media barons who appear to be running this country have a little bit too much power. And is anybody in expectation of either fishy Sunak or Skier actually doing anything about it?
No.
No, I seriously doubt that. But I do know that just before the next election, the Sun will come out with support for whichever party is the most likely to win and then take credit for them winning. Because that seems to be their thing. Hang on, I'm going to cough. So, I mean, I've got a lot to talk about, but I guess I could just go through the text and blimey. Okay, they're coming in thick and fast, mostly thick, which is just the way I like it. Joe Dye says, okay, we're going to have to make a deal. I read them and you get rid of them, right? Dye says, but don't get rid of them before I read them, because that would end in catastrophe. Dye texts, if we're going to ban dangerous jobs. No, they're not going to ban dangerous jobs. No. Oh my God, the phones are working. There's a phone call that's just for me. A phone call? I can't believe it. People are screaming next door. I can hear you. How can I hear you? I've got 3 panes of glass between you and me. Keep your voice down in there. Oi! Shut that racket up. Okay, we got. It looks like the phones are working now, but I've decided not to take phones anymore. I can hear you yelling. Be quiet. You got to be strict with the kids. They just don't understand anything else. Okay, so the calls are coming in thick and fast now, but, I'm not interested in taking calls anymore. Don't take calls on this show anymore. Die texts, if we're going to ban dangerous jobs, I cannot get through this text. If we're going to ban dangerous dogs, I'd happily add chihuahuas to the list. Those little evil gremlins will bite your face if they don't like you. Yeah, I don't really like chihuahuas. I mean, apart from anything else, they're yappy dogs. Why would anybody in their right mind buy a yappy dog? Well, I mean, what is wrong with people? Ow, 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 ow. Plus, they look just weird. So we're going to ban chihuahuas and we're going to ban XL bully dogs and everything in between. I mean, why not? Let's just go for it. I don't think anybody should be able to own a dog in a built-up area. Hands up who agrees with me. Dale texts, I have every confidence that if your production team notify Fishy of your current telephone dilemma, he will no doubt make it his number one priority, and we listeners can rest assured that full normal service will resume immediately. I suspect that it's the government who has interfered in this super show. In fact, it was bizarrely, just as I was thinking about James O'Brien, probably being next up on the block for a good monstering by the client media of the government, after they did for Carol Vorderman. Now, they probably haven't finished with Carol Vorderman because Carol Vorderman hasn't finished with them. She will insist on telling the truth about the regime, which is not allowed. Telling truth about the regime is not Rishi Sunak's number one priority. And if you do, then it's a one-way trip to Rwanda for you. Dale set texts, I have every confidence that if your production team notify Fishy of your current telephone dilemma, he will no doubt make it his number one priority, as we listeners can rest assured that full normal service will resume immediately. Well, full normal service has resumed immediately, but I've decided not to take any calls. And now the call thing has disappeared off my screen. What the hell happened there? That was weird. I've normally got a screen full of the calls, and it just disappeared.
It's happened to me as well. Everything. Well, I'm just trying to reboot it now, Nick.
Oh, we're going to reboot it. Oh, that's great. Can I kick it too? That's bizarre. Maybe that's exactly what I thought might happen. I thought if the number of people who are going to call be enormous, and when we switch the phones back, or when they miraculously switch themselves back on, which is, I think, more likely, and the government will take credit for switching these phones back on. When they do come back on, the number of people trying to get through will be so enormous that it will explode the system. And that has never happened before. I've never seen that before. I was looking at a full switchboard, and then the entire program just disappeared off my screen. So now We haven't got... it's actually got worse. Now, not only do I not have any calls, but I don't have the computer program that puts the calls up for me to take. So it's like one louder. But, apart from that, everything is going extremely well. Sam says, is it possible to ban dangerous people who destroy our public services, cause death by austerity, sell faulty PPE to our doctors and nurses and lie to the public, etc., even if their leader is cuddly and sweet? Could we have them destroyed? Cuddly and sweet.
I'm gripping it.
Yeah, I don't think he's cuddly and sweet. He looks like the kind of person that if you cuddled him, you might break bones. Not a strong-looking person. I don't think he could actually survive a cuddle. You actually might cut yourself on his tie as well. Very, very thin and sharp. Dan says, the regime have come for you. They have knocked out your phones and have left you with your homework to rely on. Well, that's right. That is correct, yeah. And they'll come for me first, Dan, but eventually they'll come for you. You're going to burst down your... oh, no, wait a minute. Oh, it's back. The program's back, but it's now call-less. I would imagine that every single person that was calling this show is going to have their number taken down. It will go on their permanent record. They're going to need to build a bigger prison.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Thank you for holding. Your call is important to us.
Yes, thank you for holding. Your call is important to us, and now I do believe that we're in a position to take calls. Can you believe that?
No.
Sid Cup. Hello, Anne.
Hello.
Anne, a real-life human being on the phone to me.
Yeah,
I am stunned.
Real-life human being. Yeah, I'm glad you're back. Thanks. So. What it is, I'd like to talk about these bully dogs. I mean, it's terrible, what's happened to these poor people, yes. Kids and adults. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I would say 70% of these bully dogs, I would reckon, are owned by drug dealers.
Yeah, and or morons.
Yeah, I think that's why they're vicious, because no disrespect...
Oh, OK, well, she just expressed herself in builders' terms. Can't say that on the radio, Anne. I mean, you can say it on television. In fact, it's probably the law that every programme on television at this time of night has language like that, including, but not limited to, the news. Here is the bleeping news. Shut the bleep up and listen. But you can't say that here. But, yeah, it's drug dealers or people who are pretending to be drug dealers. People who think that they're hard. And they're walking around with a wild... It is a wild animal on a piece of string, thinking that they are so hard that if the dog misbehaves, they'll be able to control it because it hasn't killed them yet. Like I said, morons. And the people who are coming out of the woodwork and saying, oh, we should leave them alone, and they're so lovely, and they're just so loving, they love kids, and these idiots go on dribbling on about this nonsense. Just forget those people. Like I said before, if you are in doubt whether you are a moron, just check to see whether you own an XL bully dog, and if the answer is yes, the answer is yes. Thanks a lot, Anne. Appreciate it. Text coming in, message coming in from next door. I need people who want to come on air to text. What?
So we can't take calls, but I can make them outbound. So get people to text in who want to come on air and I can ring them. Just trying to make it work.
Right, okay. He's doing his best. So let me see if I got this straight. So people can't call in, but we can call out. Right, it's like the opposite of being in prison. Is that the opposite of being in prison? You can, if you're in prison, you can call out, but people can't call in. You can't call a prison and say, I'd like to speak to the person in cell block H. Pretty sure about that. But if you are in prison already, then you can call out by using a a mobile phone that has been, secreted in someone.
Disgusting.
I can't think of any other way in which they can get it in unless the prison guards themselves are supplying them, along with, whatever drugs they need at any given moment. I suspect that there is a bit of that going on, perhaps. So, if you want to come on the air, we can call you, but you can't call us. So, the text number here is 84850, or you can email nica@lbc.co.uk, or you can tweet at LBC with your... I'm not sure about the tweets, because that would be public, but it depends on whether you want your phone number out there. I would suggest don't do that. But give us your phone number and we'll call you. You can't call us. It's maybe this would be a new way of doing a phone-in show. We'll make our number X directory. 0345. No, I see. I can't stop doing that. It's learned behaviour. Okay, here's a person who's cooperating. Sandbatch. Hello, John.
I've got a Springer Spaniel. He's 12 years old. He's a popular dog. He gets treats in all the shops he goes in that ones that allow dogs in.
Yeah. A Springer Spaniel. That's a kind of a daft dog, isn't it? But it's a lovely looking thing, and it's a proper dog. It's not a wild animal that could kill you. But it's a bit daft, isn't it, Springer Spaniels?
Well, that's what I'd rather have a daft dog than one that'll rip your leg off.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm walking along there, and I see other dog walkers coming towards me, and I see the dogs, and I look at the dog, God, that's a sad dog. And then I look at the owner, and no wonder.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I see other dogs with dog owners, and I think, that's an ugly dog, isn't it? Again, I look at the owner, and think, that's all spicy.
Yeah.
The dog's better looking than the owner.
Right.
And then you see the others, the tattoo mob, bald head tattoos, and you guessed it, they got dogs pulling their arm off.
Yeah.
And
they have absolutely zero control over those animals. They think they do because it hasn't killed them yet, but they have no control over those animals. If a little switch goes off in its tiny little doggy brain and it launches itself at someone, they'll be dragged behind it.
And then I start thinking to myself, macho man.
Yeah.
I want to be a macho.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what I think.
Right. Okay, good work. Thanks a lot, John. Excellent work. Two uses of the word work in conjoining sentences. Text 84850 with your phone number and we'll call you back. Jack texts, between you, me and the gatepost, your phone lines will mysteriously go down on Friday and Saturday nights from now until after the next general election, just saying, says Jack. Yeah, this doesn't happen to Nick Ferrari, does it? Exactly. What's that? What's happening now? Explain that?
No idea what was happening.
Oh, my God, are you kidding me? Am I being... is this a test? Am I hallucinating or is this real life? Just asking. God, wouldn't it be great if this was an hallucination? If we were to, like a dream, some sort of scary nightmare. We would wake up tomorrow and Jeremy Corbyn would be Prime Minister. And none of the above would have happened. Maria texts, crazy place, killer dogs roaming freely and you cannot buy more than 2 packets of aspirin at a time. That's right. That's right. Killer dogs roaming freely and you can't buy more than 2 packets of aspirin at a time. For your safety. It makes no sense, but nothing makes sense under these idiots, says Maria, who is expressing herself clearly and is completely correct in every respect. Philip texts, on holiday in France, homesick already as we can't find a pothole. Also, supermarket prices are now much lower than in the UK, and I hate saving money, says Philip. I had a real shock as I received the electricity bill, which is up 4.8% since 2021. I can afford 2 smart meters now. Now, that's what I call smart. Yeah, in France, I do believe that is correct. The electricity bills in France, for French people, French people, their electricity bill has gone up 4.8%. You believe that? Ours has gone up, what is it, 480% or even more than that? But that's because, saving us money is the government's top priority.
It's the country's number one priority.
It's his number one priority, and he's gripping it. There's more. Philip says, I hate the place. Why can't the French have a government like ours? Exactly. P.S. Bullies of any description are banned in the EU. Britain has every form of bully. Thank God for Brexit. We got the bullies.
My name's Dominic Raab, and I'm a Tory.
Totally believe you. Text 84850. You give us your number and we'll call you back. Let's have a call in Hastings. Well, we would have a call in Hastings, except except you can hear me clicking it, clicking it, clicking it, clicking it, clicking it, clicking it, clicking it. Doesn't work. I'll try another one. Try this one. Merthyr Tydfil. Hello, Jeff.
Hey.
Is there a real person on the end of this phone?
Yeah. How you doing, fella?
I'm struggling.
It's been quite a show.
I'm doing my best.
Right. Okay. 2 bits of news for you.
Yes.
You might have seen on the news that the Port Talbot Steelworks is in trouble. They're going to change to electric furnaces. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's directly linked to our previous conversations about Phosphofran.
Oh, yeah. So why is that?
The coal from Phosphofran mainly goes to Port Talbot.
Oh, is that right?
It goes directly on the rail line. Down it goes. They use it to make steel.
Oh.
Well, there's a direct link there that we don't know anything about, because they are now going to electric furnaces.
Yes.
And they're going to sack about 3,000 people.
Well, maybe not. I would imagine so, yeah.
And the whole point being that Phosphofran is still producing coal, but you can see why they try. Well, now they've announced that they're going to stop sometime in November.
Yeah.
They producing the coal totally illegally.
Yeah, because their license ran out last year, but they continued doing it, and nobody said anything about it because it's not like it's visible from space or anything.
No, I know. So the point to add to our troubles, with Banai Brachainog, with the bilingual road signs, with everything that's a big problem, which is woke, by the way, according to the Conservatives. Mm-hmm. We have compounded things because now on Monday we are going to, according to the Conservative Party, there's going to be a blanket 20-mile-an-hour speed limit in Wales, which is complete nonsense. It's complete nonsense. And everybody's picked up on it, even as up to Fishy, whatever, and anybody else up in Westminster. And they are saying that it's madness. But it's not. Because it's not a blanket. It's very similar to the 20 mile an hour that's going to be imposed in London.
Yes, it's in towns, urban areas.
Yes, it's not going to be
areas. Yeah,
exactly. So it's and the hypocrisy that's involved here is because the Conservative Party voted for it about 2 years ago. They put it up to the Welsh Assembly to do it. Now they are totally opposed, and the Conservative Party has taken this line, which is utter hypocrisy. And they are trying to use this and causing everything. And do you know the leader of the Welsh Conservatives? He's got a season ticket in Greggs. Do you know him? R.T. Davis. He's an apoplectic slaphead, and he's just he is using this situation. All right,
an apoplectic slaphead. Is that what you said?
Yes. And the whole point being that, I'm fed up with going down into the middle of Merthyr and trying to direct people to have a look at. You should come down and have a look at this hole. It's massive. Yeah. And they've just gone berserk. The part that they grass over the bit that they've done, or they filled back in.
Have they?
They started now to put the diggings back on it in their efforts to get as much coal out before
as possible before the curtain.
You've got to
down.
see it.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's a scar on the landscape you can see from the International Space Station. It is incredible. What they've been able to get away with. Yeah. All right, keep your eyes peeled. Thanks a lot, Jeff. Thanks, mate. Yeah, Tata Steelworks. They were in the news this week. I'll maybe talk about that in a minute because I'm up against the break. 034. No, we still can't get the number out, can I? But if I don't start with the 0345, then I forget what comes afterwards. So I'll just say 0345.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Thank you for holding.
Your call is important to us. Yeah, I know that. 03. See, keep doing it. Learned behaviour, like Pavlov's dogs. Cannot stop doing it. Speaking of which, here's a call in Leicester. Hello, David.
You seen my dog?
No, certainly not. That's the topic you want to talk about. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, why don't they just muzzle these dogs?
Because the morons who've got them aren't into muzzles.
No, I'm not on about the owners. I'm on about the dogs.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Welsh 20-mile-an-hour limit has been imposed by the Welsh government, which is a Labour government. It's nothing to do with London and Westminster.
No.
The Labour government of Wales have imposed it.
Right, but you'll find that there's a 20-mile-an-hour limit in areas of London and other cities in England and Scotland as well.
Well, there's 20-mile-an-hour limits in parts of Leicester as well.
Right.
But, anyway, I just thought I'd add that in. It's a Labour government in Wales that's done it.
Right.
But hey, Labour running Wales so well, let's hope they run the country even better.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot, David. I mean, people are whining about driving at 20 miles an hour. Oh, for crying out loud. Concentrate on something that actually matters, as opposed to getting to your destination about 2 minutes faster than you ordinarily would do if you had the restriction of going at 20 mile an hour. They complain and complain and complain. And it's just a few small number of people who are doing all the whining, but they do it with extra loud voices, like they've got megaphones. And they complain about the ULEZ, and they complain about the 20-mile-an-hour limit, and they complain about how much it costs to get a licence, and they complain and complain and complain. Stop whining. Concentrate your ire on something that actually matters, for crying out loud. Stop getting distracted. John says, so the government don't like giving money to refugees from overseas, yet happily give £500 million to millionaires from overseas that own Tata Steel. Does the fail like this or get angry, or is it too confusing for them? By fail, I think the mail. He's referring to the mail. Yeah, what a story, eh? Hang on. Tata Steelworks. Hang on a minute. It'll be worth it. It actually won't be worth it, but I'm going to do it anyway. Tata Steelworks.
Bye-bye.
Well, it made me laugh. Tata Steelworks have been given £500 million of your money to be so nice as to continue operating their steelworks in this country. Can you believe that? The owner of Tata Steel is one Ratan Tata, who has a personal net worth of... Now, I looked this up. I did homework. I know that sounds incredible, but I actually did. And I looked it up, and Forbes said 291 billion. But that can't be true, can it? So I looked up another organ, and it said 38 billion. But it don't make no never mind. He's got more money than any reasonable person could spend in 10 lifetimes. I mean, it's a large sum, 38 billion. And I'll put it into too much blooming perspective for you. If you took a stack of $1 bills and continued to pile them up until you reach $38 billion, it would reach about 4,000 miles high. I think that's actually true. And even if it's not true, it doesn't prevent it from being a fact. If you spent $20 per second, it would take you about 100 years to get through. The company, as far as I'm aware, paid a dividend of £3.2 billion last year. And we poor dopes who pay taxes stumped up £500 million on the say-so of Fishy Sunak to keep a business that the Tatar people profit from going. I sort of fell over that last bit, but I'm just so furious. Very, very angry.
Well, the whole world's gone crazy.
The whole world has, in fact, gone crazy. So we, poor dopes who pay taxes, are giving £500 million of our money to a billionaire so that he will be so kind as to keep his business going in this country. By contrast, Fishy Sunak pledged just £200 million to boost the failing NHS for the winter it is unprepared for. 40% of the amount that he's given to one of the richest men in the world. Yeah, that makes sense. Doesn't that sound so totally Tory? Port Talbot Steelworks will be given £500 million by us in a bid to keep the plant open and produce steel in a greener way. Tata Steel is going to add $700 million of its own as it invests in cutting emissions. Oh, it's going to spend its own money.
Thank you.
Oh, we appreciate it. Imagine that, a company that actually spends its own money on staying in business. But that's not all, because £500 million of your money doesn't even keep jobs safe. It could mean as many as 3,000 job losses across the UK. The site in South Wales is home to Britain's biggest steelworks, and it's also one of the UK's largest polluters. So rather than cleaning up their own act, much like water companies, we, poor penurious, have to stump up the cash ourselves.
The little people.
Exactly. The UK government has agreed to fund the installation of new electric arc furnaces for steelmaking. The £1.25 billion furnaces are expected to be up and running within 3 years, or never, if our record on major infrastructure projects is anything to go by. How's HS2 going?
Oh, fabulous.
What a way to run a capitalist economy, eh? We pay the costs, they take the profit. It's win-win. They win, and then they win again. I am stunned. Craig says, you just gave out all the ways to contact you. Do you know if... See, I can't even get this sentence in the right order, ironically. He says, you just gave out all the ways to contact you. You do know you get extra points if you get them in the right order. Well... that's just true.
And it was 30 or 35 questions. The first questions are very easy. The last questions are much more difficult. Like a memory question, it's like you'll go person, woman, man, camera, TV. So they say, could you repeat that? So I said, yeah. So it's woman, camera, TV. Okay, that's very good. If you get it in order, you get extra points. Okay, now he's asking you other questions, and then 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes later, they say, remember the first question? Not the first, but the 10th question? Give us that again. Can you do that again? And you go, woman, man, person, man, camera, TV. If you get it in order, you get extra points. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy. And that's not an easy question. In other words, they ask it to you, they give you 5 names and you have to repeat them, and that's okay. If you repeat them out of order, it's okay, but you know, it's not as good. But then when you go back about 20, 25 minutes later and they say, go back to that question, they don't tell you this, go back to that question and repeat them. Can you do it? And you go, camera, man, person, woman, TV. They say, that's amazing. How did you do that? I do it because I have, like, a good memory, because I'm cognitively there.
He used to be the leader of the free world. Can you believe that?
Oh, shut up!
And he might be that again.
I'm president. Can you believe it?
No, we're still stunned. Now then, We still can't take your calls, but I'm going to give you the number anyway, because there's no other way in which I can get through all of the ways to contact me without doing the call first. It's just learned behaviour. 0345 6060 973. If you text us your number, we'll call you back. 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Oh, hello.
Please hold the line. I'm trying to connect you.
Yes, we're having connection problems. You can't call in, but we can call out. So if you tweet us or text us your number, then we'll call you right back. Your call is important to us. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Text 84850. Tell us what your number is and we'll call you back. There is no way of calling us at the moment. Yeah, that Kemi Badnock news, by the way, excellent news. We, poor penurious dopes who pay taxes, are giving a billionaire £500 million to continue doing business, and he, in turn, will sack 3,000 of our people. Excellent news. That's the government working as the government does. Weybridge. Hello, Julius.
Evening, Nick. Are you well?
Yeah, good, thanks.
I think you're exhausting yourself with your contemporising, or whatever the word is.
Extemporising.
Extemporising,
Yes.
That's the one. Maintaining a veneer of professionalism. What a team.
Yeah, the thinnest of veneers. That's right.
I was going to say that, but I thought it was a bit much. Anyway, I had enough of bully dogs and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And you touched on something earlier.
I did not.
You did.
Hands above the table at all times.
Involving James O'Brien. Maybe he's under the table.
Oh, yes.
But, having to watch his step with,
Yeah.
with...
I think I think two things that seem to be beyond belief, but actually I think this is where we are as a country. First, I would not be surprised at all if the government cancelled the next general election for our safety, for some reason that they've imagined that, for safety reasons, we're going to have to cancel the next general election. I know that sounds ridiculous, but that's where we are now. Yeah. And second, they're going to try absolutely every trick in the book in order to win. And by trick, I mean underhand method. So they're going to go after critics, and they've gone after Carol Vorderman already, a little bit. She's going to get it a lot worse than she's had it up to now. But I think one of the other major critics of the government is James O'Brien, who needs to watch his back, I bet.
Which is why I'm calling, Nick. I've not heard you mention it, but are you familiar with the Cabinet's CDU?
The CDU.
I'll help you. It's the Counter Disinformation Unit.
Oh, right. You mean
it's
Office of
a
Lies?
Well, it's a secretive setup that has been following, documenting, and keeping files on folk with opposite opinions.
Right.
And it's now come to the point where Big Brother Watch, the charity that covers human rights, is having to take the Cabinet to court to have the Cabinet comply with the Information Commissioner's Office's directives regarding their behaviour. And a group of politicians are demanding that the CDU is closed down immediately, and they're refusing to do it.
Well, if the courts demand that they do it, they will simply take the nameplate off their door and change it for another name.
Well, I'm just saying, we need some coverage on it because, it's following elected members of Parliament around and creating files. It's a bit like the Stasi,
Yeah. Well, like I said, they will try absolutely anything to retain power. And because what they're doing is, of course, they're acting in the interests of the general public or some other thing. For whatever reason, best known to themselves, they are determined to maintain their grip on power.
Yes, well, because they've got nothing else to be doing in the real world. They wouldn't hold a job down, would they, after them?
Well, many of them wouldn't hold a job down. Those at the very, very top, I imagine that they would not be able to benefit from their position if they don't hold that position as they do at the moment. I think I think a lot of them are monetizing their position, and they won't be able to if they're at a post.
Well, talking of out-monetizing them, I see Big Brother Watch have now got a crowdfunder platform, which is aiming for 50k to actually take this particular underhand cabinet group to court. So get the message out there if you would.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be brave, Julius.
Well, I mean,
I'll hide behind you. You do it first. How's that sound?
Well, as long as your phone system loses my number as well as everything else, I'll be happy with that.
All right. Okay. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345. I see. I can't stop doing that. This is from the Good Law Project this week. The Electoral Commission has found that rules requiring voters to present ID are having a disproportionate impact on marginalised groups. Well, you know what? That is the fault of marginalised groups. They had the chance to vote Conservative, but they failed to take that opportunity, so they get nothing. 4% of people who did not vote in May's local elections said it was because of voter ID. And the regulator said that the requirement is likely to have a larger impact at the next general election, which could see hundreds of thousands turned away from polling stations, which means that the plan is working. You know, the plan about honesty.
This government will have integrity, professionalism and accountability
every level.
At every level.
Sure. Which means that members of the government will only make money inadvertently from the actions of the government. Inadvertent. It's a word you'll be hearing a lot. You've heard it a lot so far. Just wait. Inadvertently seems to be happening a lot with the regime. It's the blanket excuse for pretty much everything that a reasonable person in the street may raise an eyebrow or two at. Just don't raise your voice about it, or it's jail time for you, sunshine. Enemy of the people stuff, that is. Questioning the dear leader. The report from the Electoral Commission found that people with lower incomes, with disabilities and from minority ethnic backgrounds faced greater problems with the requirements to provide ID, photo ID, before they vote. But, you know, as these people are likely to vote Labour, they only have themselves to blame. With a general election due within the next 18 months, or, I would not be surprised, never, the Electoral Commission calls for changes to be made at the earliest opportunity, including expanding the current list of acceptable IDs. And remember that the 60-plus-year-old travel card is fine. That will be just fine to provide your ID if you want to vote. 60-plus-year-old. Because almost the entirety of the Tories' voters are, coincidentally, over 60 years old. But the student's travel card, its equivalent for young people, is not okay because of this student's problematic record of not voting Conservative. Probably because of Jeremy blooming Corbyn. Boo! This is the second report in a week that has exposed deep problems with the government's voter ID rules. On Monday, a cross-party group of MPs called the policy a poisoned cure that disenfranchises more electors than it protects, creates a real risk of injustice and potential discrimination, and lacks the flexibility necessary to avoid injustices. Or, as it's known in Tory high command, a plan working perfectly. In its response to the Electoral Commission report, the government says that it is looking for any areas for improvement in the future, but somehow failed to engage directly with any of the regulator's concerns. Isn't that totally surprising?
No.
A government spokesman said, the Prime Minister has been very clear that, look, a dinghy. Let's have a call in, let's see now, Hastings. I keep, that Hastings call, it doesn't work. Just so you know. I've clicked it and clicked it and clicked it and clicked it. Clicking, nothing. But you know me, I never complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Tooting. Hello, Jan.
Oh, hi, Nick. Hi. Oh, gosh, I'm so glad you've been able to get through. I'm sorry about your problems, because there may be something going on around Britain, because I had my network has said that from midnight there could be a lot of problems of using my mobile.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's technical matters. There's something
technical.
to do. So it might be affecting. My joke is that it might be something to do with China. It's not really a good joke.
China? No, I seriously doubt it.
No. Some sort of sabotage or something with the network.
I wouldn't be surprised about the sabotage part, but I don't think China's got anything to do with it.
No. I was ringing to say something about these bully dogs, but I wanted to say this is a bit of it's not a joke, but it could well be.
Sounds like a joke to me. Joke
yet.
incoming.
I think we need a minister for non-human migrants, and also for dangerous animals, dangerous creatures.
Yeah.
So I'll come back to that. But about the bully dog, I was thinking that maybe because I'm terrified of certain dogs.
With good reason.
So I would think we ought to be. I was trying to see what chemical or what could be used. What all the people like me or can buy
chemical
to protect ourselves, like sprays or something, pepper sprays. Certain dogs, they say you can use. Trainers use them. Dog trainers. I was looking on Amazon. Dog trainers have to use all kinds of things to protect themselves from dangerous dogs.
Right.
So that's what those owners must use. But they have pads to protect their arms. They have pepper sprays or some sort of chemical sprays they can use that don't actually harm the animal, but will protect the trainer from the animal. But I was thinking maybe like people like me who are terrified, or just general people, public, there ought to be some sort of dart. You know how in zoos and in the safaris, they have those darts, they shoot those darts into animals to subdue them.
It doesn't...
kill them.
Yeah, that's right, but it doesn't put them to sleep straight away. I mean, they shoot a dart into a buffalo, for instance, and then they have to follow it for the next 36 miles till it falls down asleep.
Oh, I thought some of them worked immediately, like in the zoos. So. They use them to subdue them.
Yeah.
But, okay, well, right, that's not working. But there is maybe I was thinking maybe pepper spray or what animal isn't afraid of fire? Some sort of fire.
Fire. So we're going to have, if we go to a walk in the park, we're going to have to take a flamethrower with us.
Oh yeah. Well, or keep some 5th of November fireworks handy.
Yeah, that's probably not a good idea.
No, but my joke is saying we need a minister for non-human migrants.
Yeah.
Is that I've been screaming off my windows in my flat because I'm terrified. I have a real phobia for certain creatures,
like
any wasps and big wasps, or even I've seen the red-tailed. I identified them sometimes. They fly quite high. A red-tailed wasp from African wasp. I mean, but
are you talking about the Asian hornet?
Yeah, now I'm coming to this Asian hornet business. Yeah. I mean, I especially looked online because I don't think there's enough public information about them when they do come in the mass. They claim they're going to decimate
invasive species. We need to execute invasive species. And we can start with them blooming squawking parrots. Or whatever they're called.
We need to know what they look like. Like they're orange. They're very orange. So at least I've got a picture in my mind of what this Asian hornet looks like.
Yeah, big. Very, very big.
And orange. They've got orange face and everything.
Yeah,
I think the government ought to
they've just flown in from the 1970s. They're totally orange. Orange and brown.
Yeah, but the government ought to have something out there, to show us. And then the other thing...
Fishy Sunak's going to make that his number one priority.
Climate change, another one for climate. I think in the future we're all going to have protective gear to protect us from all these creatures that are coming when it gets more tropical here.
I mean, it's a good thing in this country that we don't have many pests of that nature insect-wise, but we're about to because of climate change.
What about this thing about mosquitoes? That's the other one. I mean, I feel sort of really. I don't know what can we do? I mean, I've been to the tropics. You have mosquito nets around the bed and everything. But here, but no one's really prepared for what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Say, in 30 years. Yeah. That's why I say we need a minister for non-human migrants.
Invasive species, yes. To be executed on site, no exceptions. Okay, good work. Thanks a lot, Jan. 0345. See, I can't stop doing that. We can't take calls at the minute, so you're going to have to tweet and then we'll call you back. But I can't remember what the texts and the tweet information is without doing the number first, because I've been doing that way for years. So it's...
Nick Abbot. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
A big sack of monkey nuts.
That is what we're dealing with, a big sack of monkey nuts. Julia texts, just keep calling it Twitter and tweets until someone rescues it. Yeah, how about calling X post kisses? Absolutely, Julia. I don't want to and you can't make me. Now then, Beverly, Mike.
Hi, Nick, yeah. If only the government could deal with a crisis like you and your team did, we wouldn't be in the mess we're in now.
Exactly.
But, right, 3 things: dogs, motorists and steel. Right, dogs. I've owned, bred, worked and trained dogs all my life. I'm a dog nut. I believe in dogs, absolutely. But I can take a bigger picture. That where society needs rules to change for the benefit of society, you have to accept that. And dog nuts are coming on saying, no, we've the right to own these dogs and making all sorts of excuses. And it is true that if these dogs were trained properly, there'd be less of a problem. There wouldn't be no problem, but there'd be less of a problem. Yeah. But why can't they take the bigger picture and look at what benefits society? And motorists, right, we have got this attitude now. We are British motorists, damn it. We can drive what we want, where we want, however long we want, and you can't stop us because we were right. No, they're not taking the bigger picture. What's good for society? If I'm a motorist, I've been a motorist for 50 years, but if it's better for society, you have to take the bigger picture on board, Nick.
Yes. You have to understand that the people who are whining constantly about the restrictions to drive wherever you want, whenever you want, at any speed you want, those are a very, very small minority of people who have been sort of radicalised by a constant diet of propaganda from the news outlets that are God, I can't finish that sentence. That are taking a considerable amount of their funding from oil companies. I mean, the two are connected, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the selfishness. But can I just get a bit in about steel before I go? Right. 50 years ago, in Sheffield, Steel City, we had the best arc steel production in the world. And they were complimented by the government at the time on what a great job they did. The government shut them down because it was cheaper to make steel with coal.
Yeah.
Right, what are we doing now? We're providing $500 million to go back into arc steel making in South Wales. Right, long-termism is dead. Where did these people think that they're coming from? And there is a museum in Sheffield that they'd love to take kids to show them what it was like, you know, back in the old days, to make steel with arc.
What I can't get my head around is this idea that if you are a small company and you are facing financial hardships, then you can just go out of business and the government couldn't care less. If you, and it doesn't matter how many small companies do that, the number of small companies who have gone out of business would easily make up the amount of jobs that are that would be saved by keeping a large industry like the steel company in business. And yet the government gives nothing to small business, but it's giving £500 million of our money to a person that is already a billionaire.
Yeah, quite so. And look at what happened during the pandemic. don't even get me going on IR35. But look what happened with all those small businesses that Sunak completely ignored. 3 million people got absolutely nothing. Small businesses that employed people and put huge amounts of money into the economy, and they were completely ignored. Because Sunak does not work with small people. He's never been a small person.
Hang on a minute. You want to rephrase that?
No, he's never been, in business terms,
Right.
he's never been a small person.
Yeah.
He works with hedge funds, he works with multi-millionaires.
Exactly.
The people that turn over 50 grand a year, 100 grand a year, well, they're not aspirational.
No. They can go out of business because they're certainly not anybody that he knows personally.
Well, no. And the whole thing has become completely unbalanced in terms of the rich get richer. Well, if you're not aspirational, I mean, crikey, Nick, if you were aspirational, you would have done a Steve Allen and talked for 3 hours. I mean, what's wrong with you? Don't you want to complain? Don't you want to provide a load of food and treats for all the rest of the people?
All right. Okay. Thanks a lot, Mike. Cheers, mate. 0345 6060 973. Rick says, remember in the pandemic when the Tories started up the Nightingale hospitals with all those beds but absolutely zero staff? Tories think we can't see it and we can't remember it. The permanently gullible will listen to them over their own experience every time. Yeah, the Nightingale hospitals, which opened with a fanfare, remained unused for about a year and then closed with a whisper at vast expense to us poor dopes who pay taxes. Because they thought that they could open... they weren't hospitals, they were warehouses for beds. Because that's what a hospital bed is, if they don't have any staff to actually treat the person that's lying on it. You know, but they forgot about that part. They just wanted to be congratulated for doing something quickly, even though it made absolutely no sense, either financial or medical. Greg says, as a kid, I was made to walk the plank. We couldn't afford a dog. Listeners with material.
Oh,
no. Let's have, let's see now, who's been waiting the longest? Bromley. That one doesn't work either. Earl's Court. Hello, Sean.
Oh, hi. How are you, Nick?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Good morning. There's definitely something afoot.
Yeah.
It's very confusing. But anyhow, I want to talk about these bullies because I'm confused.com. You see, I thought, so when it says Bully XL, I thought that was a new kind of car, like a Jaguar XL, or, that's these XL. And I was wondering, why are these cars going around biting people? Until somebody, probably your program, or one of your programs, informed me differently.
Somebody should definitely do something about that.
Well, yes. Well, can I get a Jaguar, like a pussycat Jaguar, and put a piece of string on it, as you say, and bring that around?
Yeah, just
Jaguar
drag that around behind you. Yeah, or a bomb. Just have a bomb on a piece of string and drag that behind you and see what happens.
Well,
I mean, it might go off, it might not. Who knows?
Right. And the thing is that these things, then I was thinking about these cars, XL, Jaguar, or E-Type, used to be extensions to certain people's appendages.
What is that noise?
I don't know. It's buzzing, or somebody is trying to contact me, probably to tell me that they've heard me. I'm talking to you.
Somebody's trying to contact you and say, keep that racket down, mate. Don't you know it's almost 12:30 at night?
Anyway, as you say, there's something afoot. Well, they say, what's a foot? A foot is something at the end of your leg. But anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah.
Oh, I don't know. It was probably another joke.
No.
I thank you for your efforts, Sean. I got to go, but thanks a lot, mate. Tony says the bed situation is like the Tories getting rid of Sure Start and then replacing it with their own third-rate version, Family Hubs. Yeah, or calling food banks pantries. Kelly texts, if the Tories had another 5 years in power, we'd all be jumping into little boats and heading for France. Well, we used to be able to head for France, Kelly, but then a certain person had a referendum and prevented us from doing that forever.
I think this is nonsense.
Yeah, we're still not missing you, Dave, in case you were wondering. But we know where to find you if we do. You'll be in the shed are where they keep the tools. Haven't heard or seen hide nor hair of him for a long while, but not long enough.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Would you mind telling me what this is all about?
It's about struggling on in the face of, adversity. Adversity. Yeah, that's right. Struggling along in the face of adversity.
Stop whining.
Joe texts. Just got back from Dubai. Had a bit of a health scare there. I ended up having some stomach issues and had to make a trip to A&E. The service was super quick. I was seen within just 10 minutes. 10 minutes?
What?
Got my meds and was all sorted within 20 minutes. The funny thing is, the doctor who treated me was actually a Brit who moved there from Manchester. Also, you wouldn't believe how fancy the hospital was. It looked just like Heathrow Terminal 5. But as long as they didn't put you in a ward that said terminal, that's okay. Yeah, and the contrast when you get back here is stark. You cannot get ill in this country. It's terrifying. I mean, it actually is really frightening. You can't get ill in this country because we don't have a health service anymore. We barely even have an emergency service. I mean, if you've got 21 ambulances backed up at a hospital in Plymouth, as the health correspondent of the Sunday Times tweeted the other day, 21 ambulances queuing up outside a hospital, that is the very definition of a health emergency. 21 of them. Unable to actually get into the blooming hospital, they're stuck in an ambulance on the outside because the hospital can't take them. That's what it's like in this country now. Unless you're well off and you've got private medical insurance. In which case the doctor will see you now. Isle of Wight. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Nick. Is it Nick or Nickers?
For you, mate, Nick.
Okay, so I've just been listening to your podcast, one of your podcasts earlier.
With me and Carol?
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I would recommend that to anybody. It's really funny. These dogs, dangerous dogs. Well, I bought a dog I bought a second dog in November last year, a Border Collie. Mm-hmm. Up until he was castrated in February, when it was a year, he was okay. But since then, he doesn't like other dogs, and he could be seen to some as a dangerous dog if he wasn't muzzled. Whenever I take him out, if he's off the lead, I'm always watching out for other people, then I've let him off. But any dog can be dangerous. But these these Bully XLs, obviously it's the teeth and the jaws that do the damage. Now, those dogs in particular have got a bite force of 300. Compared to, say, a Labrador or a Collie, which is about 200 to 250. Now, the bite force on those XL bullies is pretty much similar to a Rottweiler. If you go into territory of Mastiffs, then you're talking 500. Then if you talk about a dog Argentino, an Italian Mastiff, dog they bought, an Italian Mastiff has got a bite force of 700. Now, what's going to happen when they ban these dogs? People are just going to buy another breed of dog with this, that can do exactly the same damage.
Okay, well, they should ban them too. I mean, we don't have to be scientific about it. You just look at the dog. You can tell whether it's the kind of dog that an ordinary member of the public should own, and if it isn't, then we'll get rid of it.
Have you got a dog?
No.
Have you ever had a dog?
No.
Right. Well, most right-minded people, they get a dog from a pup and they train it to, first of all, to go to the toilet in the right place, sit, stay, leave it, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think majority of people, decent people, could get one of those American bullies, make them a Bully XL and make it into a nice dog.
No, I very much doubt that that's true.
Do you really think so?
Yeah, I really think so, yeah.
So what is it about them dogs?
Because they have been apparently they are almost all descendant from one dog, which means they're badly inbred, and they're bred for the specific purpose of them being aggressive. Now, you can't tame that any more than you could tame a lion. People aren't allowed to own a lion and walk it around in public. Why are they allowed to own something like that? If you can't win in a fight with an animal, you shouldn't be able to keep it as a pet.
But you talk about lions, though the Italian Mastiff that I mentioned has got a same bite force as the lion.
Okay, well then that shouldn't be allowed either.
The thing is, who's going to police, like banning dogs, who's going to police it? Now, Richie Sunak...
The police.
But we haven't got enough police to do, the other stuff, catching criminals and, keeping law and order. I mean, Richie Sunak, he said, right, we're going to put I think he said he's going to put a ban on those dogs, didn't he?
Well, he said it's another one of these I'm gunners. I seriously doubt that come the end of the year anything's going to happen.
What did he say about the people coming over on boats? He said he was going to stop them.
Well, exactly right.
Instead, more come over.
More come over, He's been bounced into doing something about it because the Daily Mail it's like story after story after story of these devil dogs attacking people, and so he can't not do anything because he is Rishi Sunak is dragged around on a piece of string by the people who write the Daily Mail. So it's doing nothing was not an option. So he was bounced into saying that he was going to do something. And once you say you're going to do something, it's almost as though the papers say, "Oh well, that's that problem solved. Now we can move on." But I bet we get to the end of the year and nothing happens.
Well, I mean, also, what's going to happen with the people who've already got them?
Well, then sadly they're going to have to wave them bye-bye.
Well, I mean, when they outlawed the pit bull, I think they said if you've got a pit bull, you can keep it. You've got to have it neutered so it can't reproduce, and then by 15 years' time, there should be no more pit bulls. But there are still there's some pit bull types, mooching around the streets.
Right. Well, we should stop mucking about with this and just actually deal with it seriously and permanently.
Definitely.
I mean, like I said before, you're not allowed to carry a machine gun into a supermarket in this country. You cannot do that. Neither can you carry a pistol. Neither can you own your own bomb. So why are you allowed to own something that is as dangerous as that? It's just ridiculous. And people saying, morons will say, "Oh no, they're lovely." They're not lovely. They're an absolute menace, and they should be eliminated from this country. Full stop. End of conversation. Thanks, Mike. Got to go. 0345. I keep saying that. You can't call. You got to text, and we'll call you back. Nige texts. You undersold yourself, Nick, saying the government are only after the big fish like Carol Vorderman and James O'Brien. Rishi has cut off your phones. Yes. To teach me a lesson. Exactly. He's got my number. Oldbury, Ranjit.
Oh, yeah, Nick, I'll tell you what, mate. You're going to be holding up a bridge soon. Like Jimmy Hoffa, yeah. This extension to HS2, from Birmingham. Right. Because I live near Birmingham, I can be bridge number 101, Ranjit's holding that up, then Carol Vorderman.
Right.
Then
well, I'm glad to do my bit.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, can I just, I'm not going to get angry and calm down. I'm having a beer. About these dogs, like your last caller. First thing, if Rishi Sunak was serious, he should say, right, from 6 o'clock tonight, every person that walks their dog outside has to have a lead on it and it has to have a muzzle for a start.
Right.
Yeah. So that would avoid a lot of the attacks, okay? Forget about what breed they are, then doing a DNA test and then proving it. Most of the problems would stop with the muzzle. Yeah?
Right.
If these people with these dogs, I mean, there was one on the radio the other day with Ian Dale, and he asked him, he said, what do you breed these dogs for? He says, well, for the drug dealers. And Ian told the guy to go to hell. He says, well, he puts bread on my table. That is the morons that you're dealing with, these dogs. Rishi Sunak,
It's not just drug dealers, though. Let's not kid ourselves. It's just morons in general. Somebody wants to be a hard guy, a tough guy, and they want to spread fear in the eyes of people that they are around. And it's like getting a big car or having a gun or a big knife or, one of these things. It's just a tough guy thing.
Yeah, the thing is, the next person that dies because of these dog attacks, Rishi Sunak, go to their family, and replace them. You be their son, because this is ridiculous now. I'm sorry,
muzzle in public, what the hell is wrong with that? The reason that he doesn't want to say that is because there's too many dog owners and they might be inclined to vote Labour.
Well, the thing is, he's attacking, this goes on to my next subject, he's attacking the pensioners now, He's attacked everybody, he's attacked the unemployed, the immigrants, whoever, the dingy people.
He ain't going to attack the pensioners. What makes you think he's going to attack the pensioners?
No, because this is what he's doing. He's so clever, right? He's giving a loaded gun, right, to Sir Keir Starmer, saying, we're thinking of stopping the triple lock.
Oh, right.
What are you going to do if you get elected?
Yeah.
And I would just say, listen, mate, you know what? When I'm elected, I'll let you know, so shut up and carry on doing what you are, right? Because why is he passing all the stuff on? Yeah? The thing is, the triple lock, these pensioners... and he was saying he's going to try to bring in means testing. It's going to cost so much to means test. If these billionaires don't want that £180, just waive it. Right? So at the moment, he's making fools out of us and he's running out of people to hate. And now I think he's going to start sending dogs to Rwanda. Maybe it might be a bit more successful. Yeah. At least I've sent some people, some dogs, some beings. He'll come down. And you know what? He's a chihuahua of the dogs, isn't he? Because he's got the little big dog syndrome in him. All I see him, he's jumping up and down, right? And when he jumps up and down, and I think yesterday must have been in some hospital, right, with his tie tucked in, his sleeves folded up, and he said reception, and they showed about 3 different reports from the same place.
I'm amazed that he could find a medical professional that would agree to sit next to him and smile for a selfie. What was that about?
No one's going to sit next to him. He's been caught now, right? Okay? Because, he's, like I just said, right, he's gone through the list of hating people, He's gone right to the top with barristers and saying these people are thick, telling consultants they're thick. Well, Rishi Sunak, you're the one that's thick, mate.
All right, okay, all right.
No, nothing nasty to him. He needs to,
all right.
He needs to do some
hey, Ranjit, take a breath.
Okay.
And hold it. Calm. Maintain calm at all times. Gotta go. 0345 6060. I keep saying that. You can't call. We can call you. You have to text 84850 with your number.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Chris texts, you just made me remember something. Back in the early 2000s, me and my mate persuaded an ambulance team to give us a lift from Haymarket to Euston. We were very drunk, and all I remember is being half conscious on the bed in the back. That's what it was like with the Labour government. They were so bored they gave lifts to drunk kids. How far we've come. That's right. Greg says, Gérard de Nerval, the poet, famously had a pet lobster which he walked around Paris. Is that a fact? The pet you can eat between meals without ruining your appetite. Plymouth, hello, Julie.
Hello, Nick. Oh, my goodness, what have you done to deserve this tonight?
What a palaver, eh?
I know, but you're doing a sterling job. Well done to you and your glamorous assistant.
Cheers, my dear.
Oh, right. Well, I was like, I love dogs. And I know you say you've never owned one, but I grew up with dogs. And then, like, always Heinz 57 back in the day, you know, we didn't afford, like, special breeds or anything. And a few years ago, I had to say goodbye to my 14-year-old German Shepherd Collie Cross, who looked, his name was Skippy, and then he looked...
Skippy?
Yes, because he sort of, even though he had a sort of German Shepherd coat, he had a collie size. And
right. Looked a bit like a kangaroo?
He did look a bit like a kangaroo when he sat up. So, sat up straight. And the dog's just named him, and I had... like Lily's, grandchildren and that round, and I just thought, I want them to feel so safe with him and him to feel safe with them, and they were all triple trouble. I had him for like 3 months, and but yeah, I mean, he was. I know everybody says this about their dog, but we made sure we took him to puppy classes. We made sure he had recall. We made sure that
class. What happens in a puppy class? They teach you how to be a puppy.
Yeah, they teach you how to be a good puppy, because he was a bad. As soon as he walked in, because German Shepherds can be quite vocal, and even though it was the cross with a collie, and he was like barking, and all the other puppies were all quiet. Yeah. Well, more of a. They've got more of a bark, a German Shepherd. Oh yeah, like it sounds like a wolf behind your door sort of thing. But yes, it was about socialising him. For him to learn, to drop things and take things and mix with.
They're a relatively dangerous dog, but nothing like the insane dogs that we're talking about at the moment. So that's completely different.
We have got enough dog breeds, beautiful dog breeds, that we do not need these American types. And I'm so sorry. There's lots of things. Everything comes over from America, and this is prom nights and Halloween and whatever.
Anything comes over from America is to be avoided.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's like definitely these dogs, and I do love dogs, and I don't mean to be.
But not
I know
those
there's people out there.
Dogs.
No, because they're not. They're not a family pet. What are they? They've been bred for
morons, is what they're for.
Yes, and we shouldn't be walking the street. I mean, I'm glad my boy isn't here now, because at 12, 13, 14, at slower pace. I mean, he wasn't aggressive, and I always made sure I would never let my stepsons play tug of war with him.
So what would be your opinion then, if your dog was still with you, if the government said that you have to, on pain of execution, have a muzzle on your dog in public?
I'd put a muzzle on Skippy. Yes,
okay, so you wouldn't have a problem with that.
But I wouldn't if I didn't have to like his age. I wouldn't. But
because it would make playing fetch a bit difficult, wouldn't it?
Yes, of course. But I mean, I was very lucky. I always lived by the sea, and you can always if you get out early in the mornings, you can always get straight to beach. And I mean, he was attacked by 3 dogs. Another German Shepherdie puppy that hadn't been socialised, or young dog.
Owned by a moron, no doubt.
Little dogs, that people just my dog never does that, and all this, and they think, well,
that's what they say. They always say, it's so kind and lovely up until the moment when it isn't. Julie, I've got to go, but thanks for that. 034. See, I can't stop saying that. You can't call us. We'll have to call you. Text us your number. Glasgow. Hello, Robert.
Oh, good morning, Nick. How are you?
All right, thanks.
Can you hear me okay? You
No.
actually got me in a landline.
And wow, you're coming through clear as a bell.
Yeah, I tried to send you in my mobile number, but for some reason it wouldn't accept it in a text message, so I just put in my landline and your assistant phoned me back. Yeah.
Curiouser and curiouser.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have had that problem because it becomes hot, it becomes lighting up. But anyway, I was phoning about the US charge that's in Glasgow, been in Glasgow since the end of June, and they had a referendum on it, and the majority of people are saying keep it.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. When there's a change, everybody raises a finger of objection.
Yes.
Some yell about it louder than others.
Yes.
And when the change goes through, usually the world doesn't end, and people just carry on with their lives and forget that they had a problem with it.
Yeah, but the thing I don't understand is what's it all about in London? People are up in arms complaining.
A very small number of people are making a very loud noise about it. And since it actually happened, we haven't really heard very much about it at all.
Okay, Nick. Well, that was good getting that off my chest and talking to you. Right, take care.
Okay, and you. Bye. Excellent work. Thanks a lot, Robert. Rose texts, there is no good reason to own such dogs. One caller said he was the hardest dog to break, very proud of his own dominance. Another motive is betting on fights where dogs are urged to rip into each other, the losing dog sometimes being doused in water and attached to the manes. Oh, come on. I don't want to hear that. right at the end of the show. It just got worse. Louise says, I think it's really weird that so many people think Harry Windsor owes his father and brother an apology. Who thinks that, apart from the Daily Mail? Surely they should apologise to him for giving stories about him to the newspapers in exchange for their own secrets being kept. That family should be removed from public life for their own good. Never mind about their own good. How about our own good? A fewer millions from people who can't afford it given to those that can would be a good idea, I think. Sutton. Hello, Zoe.
Hello.
Zoe.
Hi, Nick. Big fan.
Thanks.
Just wanted to say that I think the owners of these dogs are on some sort of massive power trip.
Yeah.
And the experience I've had is we've got a lovely woods near us. It's called Banstead Woods. And my sister's got a dog. Lovely dog. He's also a big dog, half husky, half German Shepherd. So he's kind of kept on a lead at all times. Now, you might not believe me, but there is a wolf that goes to that woods.
A what?
Right? A wolf, an American wolf thing.
A wolf?
And yeah. And
are you saying that it's a wolf on a lead or an actual wild wolf?
No, he's a pet. He's a pet. They walk him off the lead, right? And we've bumped into him 3 times. Honestly, you people don't believe me when I tell them the story, but it's absolutely true. So we've spoken to the owners. We first bumped into them, and me and my sister suddenly were like, I had my 2 small children with me.
Yeah.
And obviously... Sorry.
Yeah, Zoe expressed herself using builder's language, and just... she was detailing her surprise at seeing a wolf in near Sutton. So I get that. But sadly, Zoe, I'm going to have to leave you there because, you said something that you shouldn't oughter. It's okay to say that on television, but you're not allowed to say it on the radio. Don't ask me why, but those are the rules. A wolf. Well, I find that... Now I've heard everything. And finally, I think, Bodmin, Malcolm.
Oh, hello, Nick. How are you, sir?
All right, thanks.
Nick, this steel thing in Port Talbot, massive national security issue. It's an India trade deal issue, and it's our government paying pretty much another nation because it's another nation's one of the leading industry. Yeah. That nation is the biggest producer, I think, of steel in the world. So the problem for me, Nick, is they're going from a plant which makes steel to a plant which is literally going to be a scrapyard because this arc thing, all it can do is melt existing steel and make it into different shapes. So it's pretty much a scrapyard. And the huge part of Port Talbot is a coke making plant as well. So they make the coke needed for producing steel from raw materials. So it's going to affect the coke obviously comes from coal. So it's going to affect the British coal industry even further. The Phosphorus thing, I think, supplies some coal. So that would have been affected anyway by this. So maybe they're killing 2 birds with one stone. But Nick, for me, we're going to need steel to make ships. We're going to need steel to make shells.
To make everything.
Shells and bullets. tanks. And when we don't do any of these things, Nick, then you're looking, and I mean, that the plant in Port Talbot, another issue there is, it used to get its coal from Russia up to 2022, largely from Russia. So that has been stopped. So there are so many reasons why Port Talbot is happening. It's India, I think, and all the company is doing is it's insulating itself from competition. So it's slowly but surely being paid, Nick, to kill off the British steel industry by our government, for goodness sake.
Well, I can't get past the point of us poor dopes who pay taxes giving £500 million to a bloke that's a billionaire. For him to be so good as to continue running his business in this country. That's the part I have a problem with. Here, Malcolm, gotta go, but thanks for that. 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 Malcolm, gotta go, but thanks for that.